Hi Jane, hi Leanne, and anybody else watching this video. So in this video, I'm going to explain how to use Trello, how we use Trello at the current moment, which is November 19th, 2015. And obviously this is a process that's going to keep evolving. And at the moment, we have two boards. So there are three basic items within Trello. So the first item is a board. So this is a board, and this is a board. And if you click on a board, then you get a bunch of lists. Let me hide this menu. Okay, so each of these is a list, each of these items. And within each list, there are cards. Okay, so we have boards, cards, and lists. So you can see, for example, on, boards, lists, and cards. So you can see, for example, on this list that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. And the way that we have this organized on this particular board is each team member has 3 boards: a to-do board, a doing or in progress board, and a completed board, which I wrote finito, but it means completed. Now, the reason we're doing it this way is because every single team member will know which items they are accountable for because they are on their board. However, if we unroll this menu up in the right-hand corner here, you can see that we have the team members listed here, and we can actually assign tasks to different team members. So for example, here's a to-do for Jane that says watch Trello onboarding video, and I can just drag Jane's picture onto that, and that task will be, that card will be assigned to her. Okay, and vice versa, if you want to claim a task that you see that another team member has given themselves a to-do, and you know that you can easily knock it out on their behalf, simply assign it to yourself, move it to your board, to your list, I should say, and you can do it on their behalf. Now, within each of these cards, there's a few options. So once you create a card, and let me just demonstrate the creation of a card. So let's click Add a Card. Okay, and we'll say, for example, make video on how to use Trello. And click Add. And since this is actually in progress, quite literally, I'm going to move it to the in progress list on this Trello board. Now, if I actually click on this card, then you can see that we have a bunch of different options here. For example, we can add members, but since all of our team members are already on this board, this is a superfluous thing. We don't actually need to do this. We can give it labels, and we can assign any kind of status to these labels that we want. So I just, for simplicity's sake, I said orange is on hold, which means that don't do this task yet. Red means high priority, or dark orange, I guess. And so in this case, I'll say it's high priority, and I'll assign that label. Okay, and then you can also edit the description, okay, and add if this particular card, or if any particular card is more involved than meets the eye, this is where you would detail how to actually complete it. So for example, I'd say 1, open screen flow, 2, make sure record, make sure input is turned on, microphone input, mic input is turned on, record the video, 4, save it, 5, upload it to YouTube, 6, create, share with Jane and Leanne, okay? And click save on that. And what we can actually do is, if a particular card is very sensitive to error or is very error prone, we can actually include a checklist. Click on checklist and say, checklist for ScreenFlow, add, and then we'll simply remake the same thing here. 1, open ScreenFlow, make sure mic is on, etc., etc. And then as you complete each of these tasks, you simply check them off. Now we can also do due dates. Since I'm doing this today, I'll say the due date will be my midnight. Okay, so it says tomorrow at midnight, due soon. Subscribe, this is superfluous, but basically it means that if anything changes within this card, I want a notification. Okay, so if several people are collaborating on a card, you hit subscribe, well, anytime somebody makes a change, you get apprised. Okay, you get a notification via email. And then final thing here that we can do is send an attachment or add an attachment from within Google Drive, Dropbox, your computer, or from a link. Okay, and then finally also we can link directly to this card using this URL right here. And of course we can add comments and view the activity on this card. Now just one thing to point out is this little red start timer button that you see here. This is because I have this toggle app not installed, but it's a Chrome extension. And I think I recommended this to you, Jane, and we'll discuss this later. But basically it's a time tracking app where we can sort of see at a very granular level what you're working on, who you're working it on for, when you're working on it, and how much time it takes, how much it costs, etc. Okay? So you won't see that unless you have that app installed. Now let's go back to Trello, and we will close this out. So you can see now that the card has a little eyeball, which means that you're subscribed to it. It has a description, a little paragraph icon, which means that there's extra information if you click on the card. Then there's a checklist, and then there's a due date, and then there's the urgent bar status, highest priority. Okay, so this is all awesome. Now what else can we do? There's a calendar. We may need that, we may or may not need that because we have due dates, but let me just show it to you. It's this is sort of best used as an editorial calendar if we have milestones, or if we're publishing content on a regular basis, but we probably won't need it for the to-dos, but just know that it's an option and it's there. Now, there is another menu here. If we click on Show Menu, that gives us some more options. So, first of all, if we have other team members that need to be added to this board, click on Add Members and simply type in their email and it will invite them to the board. Now, filter cards. What this means is you can actually search based on the tags. So for example, we have, let's search for all high priority tasks. And this would be useful actually, let's say, you only have an hour or two on a given day. Maybe you're super busy with other stuff, or you just don't feel like working that day. You need a break. Well, you'll say, okay, well, I'm only going to work 1 or 2 hours. Let me see what is the highest priority task that I can do so that I don't feel like a total bum today. Well, just click on highest priority. You'll see all the high priority stuff that everybody is working on, yourself included, and then you can knock out 1 or 2 things, make sure everything's cool, and then get back to whatever it is you need to do. Okay, and you can also sort by the individual whose tasks you want to see, and then it says due in the next day, due in the next week, due in the next month, and overdue. Okay, so you can filter by all of these parameters. Now, another thing is if you click on More, we have various settings. We can change the team, change the images, commenting permissions, invitation permissions. Okay, now we have stickers. Okay, stickers are stickers. No explanation needed, I think. Then we have labels. Okay, we've already discussed those. We have archived items. So, for example, if you're finished with a given card, we'll click on the little pencil icon and say archive the card. The task is done, so we can archive the card. Okay, archived. Then we can click on archived items and see which items have been completed, and if in fact an item has not been completed despite having been marked as archived, then we can simply click send to board, boom, right back to where it was. Now, Another really cool feature and a really useful feature is the email to board settings. And what this does is this email right here, and this is my particular email, so if you're logged in, you're going to see a different email here. But what it allows you to do is anytime you send an email to this address, it automatically creates a card within the list and board that you specify. So for example, let's say that I want to give Jane a really important task that she needs to do, like send me the login credentials for her hosting company, but she's not on Slack, or you're not on Slack. So what I would do is I would say your emailed cards appeared in Jane, to do, position, top, okay? And then I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to open my Gmail, and I'm going to enter that email address and say, give a title, say, send, well, I'll say testing, ignore, okay, insert task here. Send that away to Trello, and what should happen now is if I scroll over to Jane's to-do list, imminently the card should appear. And actually, let me go back here and just refresh this board and see if it's there. Okay, maybe it takes a few minutes to go through, so let's check back on that later. Now let's go to more. Okay, and the final kind of setting to bring to your attention is this link down here, which is a link to the board. So if we're working on the board and you need to invite a contractor or collaborator, give them this link, and this will invite them to the board. So I think the way that I originally described using Trello was way off, and then I read this WP Curve post, and let me just scan through real quick to make sure that I've covered every important item that I wanted to cover. And also, by the way, I should mention that WP Curve brought it to my attention that this Trello app is based on the Japanese system Kanban, which was implemented at Toyota to improve efficiency and productivity, which is kind of a cool little thing to keep in mind. Okay, yes, I've explained all of this. Okay, I guess one other thing that I should explain is that different boards will have different organizations, and here is the card that we just emailed, by the way. It's just shown up. So it does take a few minutes to kind of arrive, but here it is. Now, okay, so we have this board, the Jane Management and Admin Team board. Well, how about this other board? So let's go back to the main Trello screen and we say high-level systemic business items. And I've created this board so that we can separate the sort of daily to-do tasks and things that pop up from the more sophisticated high-level business tasks that affect the business as a whole, improve efficiency, etc. And one example of that would be signing up to Trello, but that's already done, so we don't need to do that. And actually on this board it does make sense to have the similar organization, to do, doing, done. But you know, if we had another board that was about content marketing, for example, we might use a different organization, like the organization that Kyle from WP Curve is using. So he says upcoming ideas, January content, December content, etc. So we're not tied to a particular system. Whatever works for this business, you know, that's what we can do, and we should definitely explore new possibilities as we evolve. Okay, just let me make sure that I've covered every last thing here. I think that is about it. Oh, yeah, last thing is there are hotkeys that make it easier to navigate within Trello. So for example, if we want to open the boards menu, click B. If we want to filter cards within a board, click F. Okay, navigate between cards, J and K, just kidding. See, it's going up and down between the cards. And that about does it. So let me know if you guys have any questions.